Nice big brown case.
Interesting, you know, this case was even more pristine when I got it. From sliding it in and out of its shelf, these are done by me. This case was...
I mean, it's still really nice.
Yeah, it was pristine. I've always been partial to these guitars, and I saw this one became available, and it's a 54 J-200. It goes back to the days, you know, I remember in the West Village in New York going to see Dave Van Ronk play. He had a J-200, and Eric Anderson had a J-200, and you know, over the years, I was always taken not only with the pickguard, but the mustache piece down here. You know, it was just a very special looking guitar. And I had two of these in my original collection. And when someone passed away, and the granddaughter, I believe, said this was available, I said, sure, of course. So it's a very nice guitar. I mean, again, aesthetics. It's just such a classic looking instrument. That color is so great, and the thickness and curl of the pickguard. It's a very unique and immediately identifiable instrument.
Yeah. It's the king of the flat tops, man.
Yeah.
How's the back and sides? We got some curl. Again, kind of peekaboo.
Yeah.
When you move it around. Man, that is a clean guitar.
Yeah, well, it's one of those classic stories about a guy who had it. It never left his house.
No.
So what's happening is weather related and climate related, but the guitar itself is pristine.
No. And you know, when you're gonna put a strap on these, you always got to go, where do I put the button? Do I put it here? Do I put it here? We'll put it there. Yeah. You know?
You know, I love when you see guys with this strap, you know, and the guitar is like,
yeah.
You know, for
Back
me,
to the old tie the piece of rope around the top of the headstock
Yeah,
trick.
I can remember having something around the tuning peg.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, this is the spot, but I'm not going to do it.
Well, that's part of the vibe now.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, that's great. Man, that is a clean guitar. How long have you had this? Is this recent?
I'd say 5 years.
Yeah. How often do you play acoustic? Do you sit around the house and play acoustic, or is it?
Yeah. I have an acoustic next to the bed from a luthier in Canada named Michael Greenfield, and it's a fantastic guitar. So, and the guitar that I have home that he made has that port.
On the side port?
Yeah. And it also has a piece to cap it. I had him do that because my hearing on this side is non-existent. So, but I like playing acoustic. You know, if you have a guitar, you always have a friend.
No? Any songs start on acoustics for you?
Yeah, some of the later songs. On Revenge, there was a song, Every Time I Look at You. Hard Luck Woman was an acoustic song.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are certain songs that you couldn't write on an electric guitar. I mean, again, I've been blessed that I grew up with so many different kinds of music. My parents, I remember taking me to a hootenanny, you know, to hear the Greenbrier Boys and all kinds of folk acts, and that's as important to me as what came later. You know, I think the more you understand the roots of music, the more you bring to it. And that's coming from somebody who's had smoke machines and bombs on stage.
This guitar was a part of the very first batch of vintage instruments I ever bought in 1989. You know, I told you that story about Pete and showing up, and this guitar just like got my attention for a variety of reasons. In that, you know, I love black guitars, and
Everybody's.
I knew about this model. And so I'd never seen a black one. And then when I saw this one, I was like, yes.
Black, double guards, Starr inlays.
Yes.
Sign me up.
It has everything that you want on the Everly Brothers guitar. And man, it's sweet sounding, you know, it's just like
What percentage of your collection is acoustics?
I would say 15%. You know, because I again, you know, I latch onto acoustic and I play that. I'll play it like friggin' forever.
Yeah.
And so this is like one of my mainstays. I have a J145 that I love, and then I have this crazy Gibson custom shop acoustic that was made about 15 years ago by a woman. It's called the Wolf guitar. She made one of 3 from the Montana shop. Yeah. But between the Wolf guitar, the J145, and those are the acoustics I play the most, you know. Gibson acoustic guitars sound like they have more compression than any of the other acoustic guitar makers, more so than Martin, or, you know, more so than Fender or Takamine or any of the other builders. Gibson acoustics have a certain sound to me. It's consistently there, and I don't hear that with other makers. And so, you know, there are a lot of amazing acoustic guitar makers out there, but I've just always gravitated to Gibson acoustics, and
You can't get cooler than
and
that.
you know, it's like
the coolest acoustic guitar of all time.
yeah, I love it for just sitting around and strumming, you know, just having a good mellow time. This is the guitar, man. It is so fucking great. You know, and I love acoustic necks. You know, the shorter scale. You know, it doesn't demand that much. You know. So, yeah.
Perfect size.
Yeah.
Not too big, not
Yeah.
big jumbo, but just a perfect.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great one.
Walter,
On the case, man.
see, I argue this is primitive social media. It's like, how do you promote yourself or your band, your brand name, yourself as a player? Handed out business cards, you know, those legendary John McLaughlin business cards. You would hand it out, you know, electric guitarist. That's how you got your name out, you know. And you went to the hardware store, got these lovely. I love these fonts, these old fonts. They don't do it anymore. It was probably all hand drawn before they mass produced them. This one here is a 1953 Gibson J-200 that was sent back to the Gibson factory. And this goes with a pair of guitars. He had 2 of them. He had a blonde one and he had a sunburst. And Peter Buck from REM has the second.
Very cool.
And it's one of those weird anomaly guitars where he wanted his name in the fingerboard. He probably wanted the bridge updated. They did some warranty work. They redid the headstock.
Logo.
The logo's so primitive, you know?
Really cool.
But it was all done in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And, you know, it's just one of those type of guitars that you just go, there's only one of these, you know?
And they added a pickup,
And a pickup
like
Yeah.
a J160E or something would have.
and a jack. All pro work. This wasn't pro-am. The collectors and people in the world would say, well, it's not worth as much because it's not an all original stock model of a 53 J200 in Sunburst. And then you go, would you rather have a one-of-a-kind factory piece of folk art that, you know, belonged to somebody named Walter versus just a regular one that just, you know, and it's the difference between preserving history and baseball cards. If you're collecting baseball cards, you want the Lou Gehrig, Jim Mint 10. It's that kind of thing, you know. This is the anomaly in all of that.
I know you talked down on acoustic guitars and stuff a little bit. Not talked down, but you're not as big of a fan of acoustic guitars. But you still, if you see something that's cool like this, it's around, you'll take it.
Absolutely, you know, and I like acoustic guitars as tools. I never got into them to the extent some other people get into them because of the fact I'm not an acoustic player. These are harder to play, you know. Les Paul and some gain, man, this is great. This thing, you got to work, you know. But it's a beautiful example, and it's a beautiful one-off called Walter.
This I've used all over my last couple of albums.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love this one. It's so
Wait, so 47, 48,
46.
46 post banner.
Yep.
Still
post
strip
banner,
logo.
Strip logo. Light, as a feather.
Yes, it is.
Dried out. Got a couple of big old cracks that have been cleated, but you don't hear any buzz.
That's a man neck, right?
Isn't that a big neck?
That is a man neck.
Yeah.
Oh.
But this thing has served me well because it strums really good and it finger picks really well.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I know you love Martin flat tops. I love Martin flat tops too. They're just different animals than the Gibson flat tops. When would you reach for this as opposed to your D18s?
When I want something that sounds rounder and not as like mid-range projection, you know, when I'm not looking to be the biggest thing in the mix, when I'm not looking to cut through. And, you know, I'm a songwriter, and I think this is probably the greatest model of songwriter guitar anybody ever made.
Probably more hits have been written on J45s than
I think so, yeah.
anything else. Yeah.
More great songs have been written on these old J45s. So when I'm just wearing the songwriter hat, this is the guitar that I'll reach for. This is probably the one that I write on the most often now. And it handles open tunings really well. And it just plays easy. It's had a neck reset and frets like they all have from those days.
But it's great post-bearing. You got the truss rod in it.
Right.
You got metal back.
Yeah,
at that
yeah.
point, and you put truss rods in them
You
again.
could mess with it a little bit. But it just has that, like, you know, if you want to sound like Nick Drake, you can get that on this guitar, or you can use a flat pick and open it up.
And this is basically a Sunburst version of the Dylan
Yeah.
J50, just the script logo, you know,
Yep, this is it.
mid-late 40s.
So this is what you're used to hearing. You know, if you're thinking about this being a song, that's the sound of it, even with the B a little bit flat. That's how it's supposed to. That's how it's supposed to
Sounds
sound.
legit.
Sounds for real. Yeah. Yeah, I love this guitar. I
Where
really
did this
do.
come from?
It came from chiropractor Mike, who is Michael Bethencourt's chiropractor. My tech Michael in town, and he's got the most ridiculous collection of guitars. He's got just ridiculous stuff. He had a booth at the Franklin show the last time I went down there, and had a all gold top with apparently one of the earliest Les Paul cases made, because he took it into Gruens, and George said that case is worth as much as that guitar. That's like the second Les Paul case ever made.
Wow.
He's just got cool stuff.
People always bitching about the doctors buying up guitars. Occasionally, it gets passed on.
I know. And where would we be without the chiropractors of the world?
This is an acoustic guitar. I believe, I'm pretty certain, it's the only acoustic guitar that my dad had that he could have electrified in order to play the solo on Peaches on Legalia.
Ooh, J160E.
Yep.
It's this on the
It's a Barkus Berry Extra.
contact pickup.
Yep.
Got the second input jack here on the side.
Yep.
Did your dad play a lot of acoustic guitar?
There's only a couple of songs that have featured acoustic guitar. One of them is called Sleep Dirt, and that was on this Martin that he had. You know, because you have the electronic part of it, he was able to do the stuff with the phaser and the envelope filter stuff. But there's probably not too many other acoustic guitar things. There's some stuff on the Grand Wazoo that had some acoustic, and there's some strummy stuff on like the early records where it's like rhythm playing. But but it's nice.
A lot of people don't know this pickup on the J160. This is actually just a regular standard Gibson P90, just in a different kit. This is the same pickup it would have been on a Les Paul Jr. or a Special or anything like that. Just in this different plastic casing to make the profile a little bit less to fit at the neck, but you can still see the whole bottom plate and all that kind of stuff in there. They sound killer. Really cool guitars.
Yeah.
Like late 60s.
Yeah, it's a super thin or a small
69 somewhere.
small neck. But yeah, at some point a heavier set of strings was put on it, but when he was doing the Peaches thing, he was able to bend this. It was an electric style non-wound G string.
It's a much loved 1963, I believe, Gibson Dove.
Dove, the Tune-O-Matic. Is it natural or was it Sunburst that really faded out? Because there's there's like this shadow around the like the rim here that looks like it's almost like a faded out sunburst.
So I saw that guitar online many years ago.
Where did it come from?
Came from Elliot Michael, and I said, I called him up. Elliot's pretty well known for not liking guitars.
Yeah.
And I said, what's it sound like? And he goes, it sounds like Keith Richards. I'm like, send it over.
It's sold.
Yeah.
Huh.
Enough said. So then, hearing from you that Tom Petty did a lot of his writings.
This was, yeah.
And,
Torpedoes.
and it does that thing, man. It's, maple body.
I mean, what is it about maples?
I don't know.
Acoustic guitar.
I would think that it would sound really bright and kind of not have any bottom end, but that's not the case.
It's like the tightest bottom end.
It's really, really good. And this thing's really been played big for a reason, because it sounds phenomenal. And, I was a fan of those Mellencamp records in the 80s when I was coming up, and I was very impressionable, and
all over radio.
Or houses. He's probably playing a Hummingbird, but they're kind of in the same ballpark as tonally. Yeah. And I just love the sound of them. Not to mention, of course, the reason he was doing that was because of the Stones and those guys playing doves and hummingbirds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think about that, and I think that guitar has a home here because it sonically does something that certainly the Herringbone doesn't, and the D45 doesn't, and the D28 doesn't.
Yeah. That's good.
Oh, this is a double dove.
Double pickguard dove.
Now, this is one I bought because of the look.
Who wouldn't go for that? I love
what happened to it. I saw one. I'd never heard of them. It's called a double dove. I'd never heard of them, but I was in Chicago Music Exchange one day, and they had one up on the wall, and I really wanted to say, oh, that's not for sale. And I thought, oh, shoot, that's one thing I don't have. I'd love to get one. And my roadie hunted around and he found me one somewhere in Texas or someplace. And I put a pickup on it because I want to use it live just to show off the look. It turns out it's sounds great. And I do love this red and yellow mix here. The dove. I have a black dove too, which is really pretty, but this is probably the prettiest acoustic I've ever seen. The double dove, who would have thunk, And then cool. We just got the really beautiful red on the back, and it's really easy to play because it's got a relatively thin neck. Tom used to like thin necks. I tend to like a little bit wider
nut, yeah.
But that's a beauty, man. That's a piece of art there.
I just love the double guard because it just looks like an old cowboy girl's.
It does.
Yeah, hairdo. It's just so awesome.
And this little ghost here with a snowflake, whatever it is. That's a dove, I guess.
Yeah. So cool.
Some of these red shades, almost orange, burnt orange red into the yellow. Of course, this also has some nice aging cracks in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gibson comes up with some beautiful colors, I must say. And look at all this red. So it's like candy apple red here. Anyway, that's a beauty.
Yeah, that's cool.
If there was a woman, I'd marry her.
More acoustics.
Somebody loved this one. They put rivets all down the sides and back of the broken.
It's a punk rock case.
It is. Rivets.
Rivets. Oh, yeah. Country and Western.
Both kinds.
Both kinds.
Now, let me ask you, is this a different type of celluloid from that other guitar or same?
This is probably, well, by the 60s, it was probably a little bit different. Although, I don't know, to be perfectly honest. But that color and that striping we can't find new non-toxic, non-flammable equivalents of that now.
That's a 6-3.
1963 Country and Western. New bridge?
New bridge.
Because this would have been an adjustable saddle originally.
I didn't mind that at all. It sounded good. I couldn't put a pickup in it that I liked.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a little bit easier with the fixed saddle. Mm-hmm. For those of you at home who don't know, this is basically a hummingbird. Mm-hmm. That's all it is with a different pick guard. It's square shoulder, multiply binding on the top, multiply binding on the back. It's a
no birds.
hummingbird with a different pick guard. Everything else about this is,
Look how thin that pick
I
guard
know,
is.
it's super thin.
Crazy.
But yeah, I mean, this is great. I love to actually be able to feel the grain of the wood.
Yeah.
That's cool. This is,
You can see its innards in there. That's like,
yeah. This is a live one, studio one.
it's a live one now. It was just a cool sounding one. It's got a lot of low end there.
Let's roll.
And I'm going to take it on the road now that it has amplification capability. Just love the binding and the parallelograms. Just the greatest.
This is one of my most recent acquisitions, actually.
What year is this from?
1935.
1935, and this I believe would be an LO. Most people would say LOO, but I believe the LOO would have the back binding at this era as well. So this was really the absolute starting point of the Gibson acoustic line.
Yes.
And how did that cheapest guitar in the catalog survive 90 years to still be absolutely incredible is just a testament to how great these guitars are.
It's the shape of the body obviously makes a huge difference. The beauty of when I looked inside the case of this one, I opened the little cubby, and in there were the layaway papers.
Love that.
From the guy that he couldn't have it. There's about 6 payments, and they're in the case.
And how much was it? Do you remember what it said on there? I mean, it probably couldn't have been more than $40.
Yeah, it was $35.
$35?
Yeah, something like that. And he had to get it on layaway for $35. So that just made my day when I saw that.
No, I know you like the slimmer necks. That's got a prominent, pronounced V. Does that...
Yeah, it's the neck I put up with because it sounds so good.
Yeah, you just get around it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's in a weird tuning right now.
So is this a songwriter guitar for you?
Yeah.
This is sitting on
I've
the
written
couch.
Recently, I've written a lot on this guitar.
Now, this is a recent acquisition. Where did this one come from? Usual suspect. When in Cincinnati. You know?
No, I actually called Gary up and I said, I'm looking for one of these. Do you have? And he sent me 2. And this one just spoke to me, and out of the 2. And because of my muscle thing, this is the only guitar that I play with 12s on, because if you put 11s on this acoustic, it sounds...
You need to have that.
You need the
tension.
12s.
Yeah.
So, and it's a beautiful, beautiful... It's got all the top, and it's got no boom.
Yeah.
Focused. It's already got the 80 cut.
Yeah, which is great. And by the way, Gary Dick, that's a great close right there. Yeah, I've got 2 of them. I'll send them both over. And yeah, there's 4 of them. Just pick the one you like the most. That's like the best close in the business right there. Yeah. Just take them all and pick the one you like.
Yeah, Gary he owes me a guitar now for this.
All this promo.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, man.
Yeah, I love it. I love it to death, this one.